Order at 1:30. We'll do a roll call and I'll let everyone go around the room and introduce themselves if they don't mind, starting with myself. Paul Lane, Mayor,
Tim Duke, Sheriff's Office, Long County.
Jason Ferguson, Chief.
Joe Paula, City Council.
Kevin Thompson, Assistant City Manager.
Michael Williams, City Clerk.
David Kelly, City Manager.
Alyssa Morash, Cloverdale Historical Society and W Real Estate.
Thank you. And on Zoom, we have Nina Hanchett, we have Jody Kane, Margaret Slight, Colin Halbaum, and Jessica Chavez. Thank you guys all for being here. Jody, or let me see, yeah, Jody, you're the only one. Is Debbie coming or is it just you today? Oh, Blake and Debbie coming in, never mind. That covered all the rest of the boxes pretty much. CLC.
Mayor Lands, this is Debbie.
Hi,
I'm
Deb.
only gonna, hi, I'm only gonna be here for a few minutes. Jody can give all the updates because I have a conflicting meeting coming on.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, first thing, the approval of the minutes from April 12th. We have a motion. Anyone that was here? I'll move. And the approval. I'll second. I don't know who else is here, so. Any objections? Great, hearing none. Minutes are approved. Public comments. The public is welcome to address the committee at this time on matters not on the agenda that are within the jurisdiction of the city. Please be advised that pursuant to the government code section, the committee is not permitted to discuss or take action on any matter not on the agenda. Comments may be no longer than 3 minutes. We'll fix that, Michael. And should be respectful to the community.
It's like no members of the public.
No members of the public. Anyone here want to speak as part of the public on things not on the agenda? Seeing none, moving on to discussion items. Update on local homelessness activities. Jody and Debbie, I'll let both of you go first. That way it gives Debbie a chance if she wants to chime in at all. But Jody, go ahead, please.
Hi there. Yeah, so let's see, the updates that I have is just what we're working on with. There's the new coordinated entry. It's moved from, I think, as you guys know, from Catholic Charities to the Home First. So I know that we're having a case conference coming up on that so we can be equipped with learning the new system. So, and then we're just continuing to support the unsheltered and the precariously, housed, community members. I'm working with them to, connect them with various stakeholders and continue to broker relationships as needed. The last Section 8 voucher, we were able to successfully get some of those vouchers, and happy to say that we were able to house some of our couple long-term precariously housed individuals. So we're just working with some of the constraints that we're still dealing with, which is lack of resources as far as housing and learning the new coordinated entry system. So nothing major as far as, update. Yeah, just still trying to, help folks get, the resources that they could utilize to, make that situation better. So that's really all I have. I don't know if Blake has more.
Or Debbie, do you want to chime in any more than that? Or are we good?
I actually did leave off one thing. I know we have the Cherry Creek project kind of coming up here, and we are following that with coordinated entry, but so far I haven't seen, that has not opened up yet as far as, I haven't seen that on the Housing Authority page, but I'm continuing to work with REACH and for that upcoming project. But
Thanks,
that's it.
Jody.
Yeah.
Transition into Colleen, because we had a conversation last week and I'd love to hear from Colleen and the updates that she has.
So we've already received over 200 referrals through coordinated entry. And so far, Jessica can chime in. but we've only submitted 4 applications because people are either not willing to come to Cloverdale, they've already been housed, or they aren't eligible because they have some sort of a felony in their background. So, and we have not really seen anybody through coordinated entry in Cloverdale in the way of families. So I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but that's where we're at on that.
And Colleen, can you also talk about how you spoke with the county and they're talking about allowing Section 8s and all that possibly, and
Right. So we're running out of time. I mean, Jessica is essentially single-handedly cleaning up the coordinated entry wait list. And like I said, we've received all those referrals, and we've had really almost no success. I think we have 4 applications that we've submitted to the property management company. And we are right now working for people who are literally homeless. We aren't having to do the chronically homeless. That definitely didn't work because we couldn't locate anybody. So now we're in literally homeless and not having any more success. So we had talked to Martha Cheever and said, what's our backup plan? Because we got to get people in here. And she said that we would be eligible to go to the main Section 8 wait list, which would mean non-homeless people that are just, looking for affordable housing.
great. I think that's a great thing because you start hitting different demographics with that.
Right. I mean, that was our plan all along. So we'll have a kind of a cross population of people, and that was our intent, and that was what we applied for, in all of our applications, which is what we had originally presented to everybody here. So we're back there. We tried really hard to get people in that were homeless, but like I said, it's really difficult to get people to come up to Cloverdale. And like I said, the ones that we have in Cloverdale who are not literally homeless wouldn't qualify because they're not literally homeless. We weren't able to take people who are couch surfers, for example. So that's where we're at.
Any questions for Jody or Colleen at this point?
So if I could, Colleen, is there a way that we could get maybe information, how we can get it out into the community that if they are in need of housing because of low incomes, that's the next phase, but how they go about applying, get their name into the hat, because I would like to promote it in Cloverdale in our area and try to get people aware that they may have a shot at it. And here's the steps to take.
So if they've already applied for Section 8, if they're on the Section 8 wait list, they would be probably in the next batch of people that we start to locate and make contact with. If they are homeless, then they would have been encouraged to be entered into the coordinated entry system and get assessed. We were assuming that the majority of the people who were self-identified homeless in Cloverdale were already in coordinated entry, but apparently that wasn't. I mean, other than some of the folks that Margaret has in her case management load, we really haven't seen anybody else. So, yeah. So and HUD won't allow us to do a geographical preference apparently, or Margaret actually thinks that there may be some flexibility there, but so far, coordinated entry system won't allow us to do a geographic preference. So that's another limitation on having people just want to apply. We don't have the ability to have our own wait list, if that makes it any simpler to grasp.
Sure.
So they can only come in through Section 8, or they're actually homeless, is that right?
They would have to come in through the coordinated entry system and be entered into coordinated entry and be assessed, and then they would be scored. We started out, like I said, up in chronically homeless, which would be the high scores. We moved down into the lower categories. We're in the 8s and below, which would be people who are fairly independent, more rapid rehousing. Still not having any luck. Like I said, Jessica, feel free to chime in, Jessica, if you want to give them some background. She's really the one who's doing the majority of the work.
Yeah, so our project just really isn't aligning with coordinated entry, all of the eligibility requirements. People have to have an income to verify that they will be able to sustain housing, paying for utilities and things like that. And a lot of people in coordinated entry just don't have that resource. So like Colleen said, Section 8, they have wait list periods of, I think it might be like 3 months, maybe Margaret, you can correct me, where they have open windows for people to enroll onto the Section 8 wait list. So if you haven't enrolled in that list, I don't think it's likely that they'll be able to apply to Cherry Creek Village once we open up that wait list. Am I right, Margaret?
From what I understand, they, like you said, they do enrollments at certain times of the year for all Section 8 properties. So it's not like a project-based voucher property is different. So if you go on the Housing Authority website, you'll see like Mill District right now is accepting applications. Those are project-based vouchers. But with Section 8 vouchers, to Jessica's point, they open it up every so often, and they probably have thousands of people on the wait list, and it's totally random from what I understand. So I would be careful about telling people to get on the Section 8 wait list so that they can get to Cherry Creek. If they should do it to do it, like you should do it. But I just wouldn't want to set anyone's expectations up that if they get on that wait list that they're going to get pulled somehow. There's thousands of people, and it's not a project-based voucher because that's not the type of funding that that project has. So they'd have a better chance going through coordinated entry, actually, probably, than the Section 8 process.
But yeah, and then the rub's been that they would have to have been literally homeless. So I think,
Yeah, chronically homeless. And then the other struggle is that from what I see outsider looking in with what Jessica and Colleen have been trying to do is that the single units are not as difficult to place because those are chronically homeless individuals. And that's really all we have in Northern Sonoma County. As far as chronically homeless go, we have precariously housed families and all kinds of families, but not chronically homeless. And so the 2 and 3 units are really hard to fill because we don't have families where it functions from a chronically homeless standpoint.
Jody?
Yeah, I have a question. So, what if, so when you're saying chronically homeless and the score, so are you going by, like I have an individual who's, Margaret, who we've brought through your facility and got him an emergency housing voucher. He is, has a high VI SPIDAT, right? So would he, and where he's living is not really habitable. There's no, running water. So what would you consider him? Because I've actually been trying to house him with you guys and have had no luck. And
Yeah, and he's
So-
on our by names list for sure. His name, we talk about him quite frequently.
right.
I believe I forget his VI SPIDAT score, but I think he qualifies as chronically homeless because he's
Okay.
been homeless for more than a year and
Yep.
he has a disability. Those two things have to happen. And I believe he scores as chronically homeless. So it would depend on, there's so many individual chronically homeless individuals that when
Mhm.
coordinated entry pulls it, they literally are giving Cherry Creek like the top people. And they only have so many 1 bedrooms. So I don't know how, I'm not in that process with Jessica and Colleen, they can speak to that. But I do know the person you're talking about, and he's on our list to try to house him. We just haven't had any housing except for that one. And it was a tough call. There were 2 people with disabilities and we had to make a tough choice, but he's still on our list. We are working on.
And my other part to that question is this project for individuals, or is it, because Colleen, I heard Colleen say family, and my understanding that this is individuals as well that we're looking at. Is this just families?
so we have 6 3-bedroom units, 9 2-bedroom units, and 9 1-bedroom units.
Okay.
So the majority of the units are for family sizes. All of our 1-bedroom units are pretty much called for because we had people returning back to Cherry Creek. And then the few other openings, we're pretty much full on the applications for the 1-bedrooms, which we anticipated, like Margaret said, that's where the most of the demand was. And so where we're having a difficult time filling the units is for the families who are literally homeless. They don't have to be chronically homeless. they did originally, but we found that, like I said, that wasn't working. So now we're into literally homeless with scores of 8 and below. So we're not the high scoring chronically, we're in 8 and below, more the rapid rehousing type profile, more independent and not a whole lot of, needs. And it is, and it is project-based vouchers. So if someone had their own vouchers, then they would not, they wouldn't want to give up their voucher to come to Cherry Creek.
Okay, any other comments on this? Margaret, I want to give you the floor to speak of anything else that you had, because you kind of chimed in on everyone else's.
Sorry.
No, wait, I just want to make sure that I give you plenty of time to talk about what you're doing.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. It's good to see everybody. We are working through our by names list, which is the same list that, pretty much Colleen's been working on, but it also includes people who aren't in coordinated entry or who haven't yet accepted housing. But we have 2 units that are coming available, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that qualify and are at the point where they could slide into those units. Just to let you know, Jody, that your person is on that list, one of 7 of the people that we have to work through. And then we have a studio that's coming available at Victory Apartments. That's through coordinated entry. So we'll be working with coordinated entry to fill that. And then we will have some project-based voucher units. So again, to Colleen's point, if someone already has a voucher, they would have to literally give up their voucher, which is accepted across the entire country, to come. So we're looking at people who don't have vouchers for that. But the AMI is 50 to 60%, which is really high. So we're going to have a little bit of a hard time figuring out how to put people in those. All of these are in Healdsburg right now, but we are looking at Cloverdale as, our list includes anyone in Northern Sonoma County. So we don't differentiate between Healdsburg, Cloverdale, or Windsor. So those are kind of what we're looking at. Marta Cruz has been amazing. She sent us 2 available apartments that we're trying to work with to try to get them to take vouchers. They're both in Cloverdale. So that's good because we have people at our partnership home with vouchers. So if we can get those people into apartments and independent, then we'll have 2 open spots there, which can help people with very intensive case management. The other update that I have is that the L&M Village, which is the 22 unit interim housing program that's going to launch, has been slightly delayed. It's going to City Council in Healdsburg because they have to get the approval to go to bid for the construction. And so we're looking at probably opening closer to September versus August. But it is moving forward and everything's going smooth. And we just hired yesterday a program director to oversee our programs. That spot's been vacant for a year, 6 months, something like that. It's not quite public yet, but it is someone who is on the Continuum of Care board and who people really know and they're very, very well versed in homeless services. And I think that they're going to be a great addition to the Cloverdale area and the whole Northern Sonoma County area. So I think that's it in a nutshell, unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Margaret? Great, thank you. Okay, we'll move on. Update from Police Chief Ferguson.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to start with just basically saying that we've kind of upped our patrols out in the River Park on our UTV. We started using that more often. We continue to do the walkthroughs in the downtown. Our community services officer, she reported there's been a significant difference there, not seeing hardly anybody in the morning anymore that were walking businesses and things like that. So that's progress, and I'm going to report more on that. Just prior to Memorial Day, the lieutenant and I went out on the UTV to check out the homeless encampments on First Street there on the railroad tracks by the bridge. We were informed that SMART was making efforts to try to deal with the encampment there. What we found was the first encampment was completely gone. taken down. The area was cleaned up, and then we contacted two that were in the process of breaking down their encampment, and we're moving on to another location with, I believe they got assistance. They were getting assistance that's according to them. And now we're working on that camp. I haven't been back out since, but they did have a deadline when they were going to be moved out from there. So that's the status of progress of that location. I think one of the important things to address here today is the efforts from this group here on some of our local folks has been tremendous. And I think we are starting to see some differences. I know a few of those folks have been placed into housing, and it was very critical that they were. And because of that, we're seeing a significant difference in our call volume when it relates to homeless related incidents. I think all of you know I've been reporting both homeless related incidents that we receive each month when they come to these meetings, as well as what our activity levels are in the plaza itself. And I'm happy to report that dating back to April, March, we were looking at about 23 different incidents, and then 21 incidents as it related to homeless within the city. And then going back to December, there were even some high numbers, we're like 56. So from April 22nd to current, we've only had 9, which is a significant change. And I think it's all relative to being able to house and get those individuals the help they need. And so it's really making a difference. As it relates to the plazas, and a lot of these were general calls from community and or our own officers experiencing what's taking place there and contacting individuals. If you recall, back in April and March, it was 48 in April, 45 in March, and 49 going all the way back to December. So we're averaging in the 40s. That's down to 26 now. So again, it is making a difference. So I appreciate everybody's efforts. I think all of us were very confident that if we could address those with critical needs, we would see substantial differences. And I think we're starting to reap the benefits of that and see that. More importantly, they're getting the help they need. And I think that's what we were all hoping that would happen. We're going to continue to work the River Park, take the UTV out there and keep an eye on everything going there. So that's really the end of my report today.
So Chief, when we started that coalition, it was basically based around 7 chronically homeless, or I don't want to call them the trouble children. There was 7 that stood out in our town. Out of those 7, how many have we had housed now? And if you could, without naming names, but then also talk about what type of housing they got into, so we know, is it the type they can leave? Is it something for their mental health?
Right, and hopefully maybe Margaret might be able to help me, because all of the details in that I don't have. What I will tell you, one that we dealt with and I gave a report on about the continued contacts, continued concerns, and my concerns with the county's, and I'm sorry to use this word, failure to address a mental health crisis that this person was in. I think that person was the most critical. That person has been given housing, but it is the housing that does allow the individual to leave. I know they were present here on Friday, but a much different person, a much different situation. And we're very pleased to see that. So clearly they're getting the help. What location? I don't want to say that, nor do I really know it. But the second one, I can't recall the name, but it's another regular one that we're dealing with. I think all of us know. And then the third, I believe, is the one that's in question right now about looking to get housing. And we were just discussing that individual. And so those are, and I was actually told that they had gotten the spot. So maybe I gave wrong information on the 3, but it sounds like the potential is there for the 3rd. So nonetheless, the efforts that are being made are getting us to the point we need to be at. And I think that's the most important part about this year. So thank you. That will be here.
Margaret, any further on that for us?
No, it was just you covered. I was going to chime in, but I think you covered it perfectly. I also know a lot of the people who aren't housed or who are just in temporary housing right now are also on our list for the LNM. So if there are people still left out there that need housing once we open, they're on our list to consider for that. So hopefully that'll make that'll kind of help, get almost to functional 0 in Cloverdale. It would be nice. We will be close.
Thank you. Love it. Thank you, Chief. Any questions from anyone? just listen to them. Any questions? Great. Presented, do you mind speaking about the county side?
Sure. Functional zero is amazing. I know that's what everybody's goal is. So congratulations on getting either close to that point or to that point. From the county's perspective, I believe we deal with the situations the same. We generally send our DHS, we have a system that goes through our IMDT team. And then we try to send out some people from Department of Health Services to contact immediately. And a lot of that's due to what we've been told is potentially trust factor between law enforcement and those that are actually working to assist the homeless and get in the proper care. So what I do is I send our IMDT team the information, and then they disseminate it to the troops working on the ground. And I know they've been up here multiple times on Preston Road because I know that's a tinderbox and an issue, as well as the recent fire that I believe was, I think it's considered the old Volca property, if I'm not mistaken.
Right on the edge of it, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually spoke to the representative from there today, and his trespass action request from it actually expired. So he updated that as of yesterday, and that came with the assistance of some of the community to locate him, track him down, and actually have a conversation with him. So he has future plans of what he wants to do with that property, and I think it's in a good interest of everybody. But more importantly, I think sometimes when you see, like the chief mentioned, some of the encampments that maybe have shifted or left, if they're in the county, lots of times that's not actually because the sheriff's office is actually out there doing enforcement. It's because we have someone from our DHS team belonging to the county that's actually trying to find them services. And that's what our first goal was, to try to find them services. And then if need be, enforcement comes in afterwards. One issue we've been having recently with private property is not so much getting them removed, it's what they leave behind. And the sheriff's office, the county has no obligation to remove that property, which is terrible for the property owner. So we try to facilitate that process as best we can. I think more important concerns are along the river, where there's things being discarded in the river and things like that, and in the public property areas. So as far as Preston, and then we stretch down into Healdsburg because we in the county kind of cut up a section. So the same that was spoke before as far as the north part of the county. So that would include Windsor, Healdsburg, and Cloverdale. So those are the two hotspots we've been given for Cloverdale, and Healdsburg is more, it's going to be west of the Highway 101 there. It's a Sire property, and that one appears to be drawn to us also. So we're working with them, and again, we sent out our IMDT team, even on several occasions when it's actually private property, because our philosophy is if we arrest them or move them along from private property, they're just going to pop up somewhere else. Our goal is to get them services so we can get to that zero barrier. So that's why we really try to push law enforcement last. I can't say we've been overly effective with that aspect, but I think it's working. And as we move forward, I think it's only going to be more positive that we don't see the same person continually popping up. I know Santa Rosa's having some issues with that right now. And as we start to dismantle some of the large, major encampments, such as the one they're dealing with in Santa Rosa right now, you have steamers in Petaluma. Roanoke Park seems to be increasing. When we displace them and we can't find them the services they need, that's generally where they're going to end up, either they're on the streets somewhere. So again, working to the zero level is amazing. I'm very proud of Cloverdale for being to either achieve that or get close to it. So congratulations. And the county will continue to try to pull our weight and facilitating that process. So thank you.
Can you talk about maybe how often your services are, whether it's DHS or the deputies themselves?
Sure. So the deputies are only going to respond to calls for service. And like many agencies, I can't speak for Cloverdale, but we're having a staffing crisis currently, or maybe crisis isn't the right word, but challenging with our staffing issues. So there's literally 2 deputies assigned to the North County in the county's jurisdiction. And that's 24 hours a day, but it's only 2. That is drawn back from where, resources that maybe we have more that we rely on. So with that in mind, our calls for service are always prioritized, just like any law enforcement. So if things are busy, it may take us a while to get to a trespass call. Obviously, this one in the fire, I think I was told Cloverdale Fire was a huge participant in that one, which certainly helps the process a lot. And it's I think that answered your question.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
You
okay,
nailed it.
so I don't know if they keep going on.
No, I appreciate it. Any questions for Lieutenant Duke? In the room? Anyone? So just under this, I think we should talk about the vegetation management that we're working on along the river. Last week, we met with, when I say we, I mean the city, met with Sonoma County, with river keepers, with state water boards and fishing game, and a few biologists. And the vegetation management that we did last year, it went from the First Street Bridge or Crocker Bridge to just past the water treatment plant. Seemed successful. The county is very excited about it and is using it as their model. So they have given us funding basically to go the entire length of the river park, all the way up to McRae, and then turn around and go all the way to behind All Coast. That work should be starting within a week or two. The paperwork has been filed, everything's in, and they're using last year as their example, and so it makes it real easy to move forward. We have North County Fire, Cloverdale Fire, and everyone on board to help out along with the SAT crews from the county. And they're expecting it to take, a few weeks, but they'll be out there working on it within the next couple of weeks to remove all the vegetation along the river park from First Street to McRae. They also walked the area to see along the river, to see how close we could get to the river before the biologists started freaking out, to get into where the homeless are actually hiding in the bushes and starting these fires, to alleviate that issue as well. Even if they stay there, it's not to remove the homeless, it's to remove the threat. And so that's what we're trying to do with this. And so everyone's on board with that. There's more stuff in the works with county parks that I don't want to get into yet, but they're very excited to remove some of the invasive species along the river and in the riverbed. That will help with not only the vegetation and the fire threat and the homeless, it'll also help our water. So that's where we're at with that. Any questions on that? So Nia, you'll probably have some questions about why there's tractors and things down at the river, and know that all of it is, it's not permitted, but we're going as far as you have to go without having a permit to be where we are. And so any questions that come to you, you can send them to me or to James Ford's office, because it is all contracted and under watch by a biologist at all times. Anything? All right. Moving on to the next one, homelessness strategic plan framework.
Okay, well, this one's mine. Quite a while ago, David put together the homeless strategic plan framework, and we brought that to council. And that's really what kind of started this group. We identified folks in the community, stakeholders who all were involved with homeless services and the like. The plan itself, we kind of determined was had a lot in it, and there was a lot really for our small staff to try to implement. 36 supporting actions, 7 goals, and a large number of different actions that we would take. So what we decided to do, Joe, and for your benefit, because I don't think you were part of this at the time, was that put together a survey for the community to rank all of the supporting actions and goals. And so we kind of get a sense of where the community was and what they really wanted to see us do out of this plan. So really what I'm here today is I can summarize what the top 10 goals were, but I'm also seeking direction to bring this back to council for formal adoption, which including the top goals. We did leave all the other goals into it, but we kind of emphasize that these are the top ones that the community was interested in accomplishing. A lot of those have to relate to fire prevention, mitigation on property impact on private property, identifying people at risk of homelessness, expand enforcement and surveillance. There was a discussion of lobbying efforts where we can get the county to help us more, and state level changes regarding what's it called? Not Florida law. Establishing communications with people who interact with homeless. Sorry, that's okay. So anyway, so we have the top 10 in here, and again, I said this before when we talked about this. I mean, this is kind of the paper side of homeless, and it's kind of seems like, is this really gonna do anything? But it's good to have our plan adopted. So when there's money coming down, grants coming down, we have an adopted plan that's been vetted by the council. It's been through this group. So really my goal is to, get direction today to bring this back to a future council meeting very soon, the resolution for adoption. And then we can, continue to look at these goals as this group proceeds.
Questions in the room? Questions on the computer? Any Zoom questions? Who's Dr. Alvarez? I'm not sure. Good. All right, seeing no questions.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dr. Allen.
oh,
But it went away.
find out. Yeah. Dr. Alvarez, this is Todd Lands. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm fine. I'm just trying to become aware of what is going on in your committee, and I'm just a listener. Thank you for allowing me to participate.
So any questions or anything you have regarding anything you've heard so far?
I actually only had one question about this survey. When and where did that survey go out, and who got to participate?
Well, we did it online. We ended probably several months ago. We got about 70 respondents, which, it's not a high number, but I mean, we feel like it was enough given that the scope of this project. And it was kind of a lengthy survey, so it was kind of a lot to ask people. They had to kind of go through all 38 supporting actions and rank those. So we did do it in Spanish as well. And so it was up on the website for about 5 months. And so we kind of, as the responses kind of slow down, we kind of figured this was the time to pull it in and quantify the results.
Awesome. Good to know how that was done. I wasn't aware of it, and I just want to say I wasn't even aware of this group until actually walking by the city offices and seeing the posting today. And then to find the link to this meeting was very, very difficult. So, and I know everyone's horribly understaffed, and this is like a hard time to get things like that really posted and available. But I think I would love to be involved in helping to get the word out. So I'm just going to try and participate and listen in as much as possible. And I may ask questions like this. Thank you so much for letting me.
No, thank you. And just to let you know, at every city council meeting, we make sure to announce the dates of every subcommittee meeting. And so if there's ever a question, you can email me myself. You can call me on my phone. My phone number is on the website. You can email the city. You can listen into our council meetings. At the end of every meeting, it'll have the list and the dates and times.
Yeah, if you go to Agenda Center on the front of our website, it's one of the big circles. All the agendas are in there for all our subcommittees.
This one for today was actually not on there. It was really difficult to find. My husband's an IT guy, and I had him do a deep dive. And eventually we both ended up finding it, but it was maybe a glitch. I'm not sure. Just want to let you know.
And Dr. Alvarez, if I can, this is David Kelly, City Manager. On our homepage, cloverdale.net, there is a graphic link called Notify Me. If you go to that link, you can put it. All you have to do is put in your email address and click on which agendas you would like to receive, and that includes the City Council, Planning Commission, 5 subcommittees, and then this homeless subcommittee. You can literally receive a copy or a link to a copy of every agenda when it gets posted. And so I definitely encourage you to sign up to receive all of our agendas, as well as our Cloverdale newsletter, because we also put out a weekly newsletter. I think it's fairly informative. I'm a little biased, but yeah, I think it provides a lot of great information. And I do want to say Nina does post it and the signboard outside city halls for folks that may not have access to a computer. So it's also available in hard copy there. And if anybody wants a copy, we'll be happy to print one for you if that's needed.
Thank you so much for that. I will definitely sign up for the link, and I feel like I've taken too much of your time already, so I'm going to be quiet now, but I'll keep listening.
Thank you for being here, and we appreciate it. And we like to have everyone's opinions. Jessica, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys all so much. I feel like appropriate placement is critical in the success of, some of these individuals continuing to be housed or being successfully housed long-term. Margaret, I just want to say thank you so much for finding these places for some of the people that we, Cloverdale doesn't have the resources for. So I think this is a great model, and I would hope that it would expand into the county and, maybe even the state someday. But I think you guys all deserve a pat on the back. This was an awesome effort from all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Any other comments or questions about anything?
Mayor, just real quickly, just in terms of this item, this strategic plan framework, we really started this process well before the county even started any of their strategic planning processes, and it's to help kind of guide the conversations. What we initiated this our community advisory group. With that said, since that time, the county has really stepped up with Supervisor Gorlip, the District 4 strategic planning effort. There was also a similar effort for the Sonoma Valley, and now the Sonoma County Continuum of Care under DHS is also leading up a strategic planning process. I think really the goal is to align all of our plans in some way, so we're all working towards common goals. And so I still think it's valuable to bring forward our plan, because it represents our significant local effort, and it can also be a tool to help guide. There's a lot of menu of items and strategies that we can continue to look at and modify, adjust as we need. But also as we see this county process evolve, see if there's opportunities to align with that process. Again, the hope is that we can, utilize this planning process that we've been involved in to, seek funding, as it becomes available, to fund some of these initiatives, and having it in the plan really is kind of a helpful step. So I think I just want to acknowledge the work that you've done in our council and this subcommittee to help kind of put this effort together. And I think it's also resulted in the creation of this committee that's helped to provide a venue to have a positive discussion around how we are working towards addressing homelessness and the related issues.
Great, thank you.
So just a follow-up question, if I could, has Kevin, David, the members of this group, advisory group, if they had an opportunity to review this draft, to provide input and all, I'd kind of like to make sure that at the end of this, it just says that the committee's listed and that they have reviewed it and we have it dated. So this way annually we can go back and revisit it and start the process. But I want to make sure that everybody had an opportunity and they buy into it. I feel it's good. So
we Councilmember Paul, we literally walked through the document pretty much page by page, goal by goal. And then one of the kind of the culminating actions was there's a lot here, but what's our priorities? And that's the survey work that Kevin sent out. So I think kind of where we're at is just to really put the kind of final touches on the plan. Certainly acknowledge all of the stakeholders in the work and time they put into this effort. And maybe a current update on the state of homelessness in the community and bring it forward. And again, the hope is it's just not going to be a shelf filler. We can use it as needed for funding and helping provide some guidance if as again the space continues to evolve in terms of how we respond and address homelessness.
Excellent. Good. So I'd like to see it come forward.
Okay, great. I've got one second. Anyone against it? Great. Anyone on Zoom against bringing this to City Council for approval?
Adoption.
Adoption, sorry. Adoption. All right, seeing none, that's it. Let's talk about anything for the future. Is there anything special that anyone want to have with future agenda item?
Chair and Mayor, I just wanted to alert the committee that I received an inquiry from the interim director of the Sonoma County Community Development Commission. They've been very involved in homelessness. It really was just a question, but it's something that, I think maybe might be a future agenda topic. It's safe parking for homeless folks with RVs. And I know that's been kind of an ongoing strategy that the county's been looking at. It's been difficult for us to find or identify a site within the city that really serves that population. But it seems to keep coming up as an issue. And I mean, we could put it in the parking lot, and of course, no pun intended. But I think it's one that can't continue. It seems like it continues to bubble up out there. I don't know, Lieutenant Duke, you might have some insight on this, but it's just, I just want to make sure that the committee, given the roles of everybody here, that there seems to be this interest at the county level in establishing some kind of safe parking space in North County. That might not mean Cloverdale, it may mean Healdsburg or Windsor or unincorporated, but that seems to be something that the county has an interest in.
It would make sense that it would have to have some amenities such as, a dump site and water, sewer, those types of things. Have we looked, I know the county through this programs bought many hotels, motels. What about a campground that may not be underutilized that maybe we could somehow purchase and use something like that all the hookups ready there? And
They have tried. They tried until the point was they've tried even with like 1,000 Trails campground. They tried to split it 50-50 and there's no takers.
To create one.
Yeah, create one. That may be the approach to go
I think
we worry about putting in parking lots and without the proper amenities, proper supervision, and it's just going to be, it's another mess. Roanoke Park today, there's an article in the paper regarding the long-term parking that they converted, and it's grown, and there's just a lot of complaints and a lot of policing.
as from the sabbatical as the other.
Yeah, and so it's really got to be well thought out. I think it's an excellent idea, and certainly support it, but it's really got to be laid out correctly.
I don't think we have the manpower to manage.
Well, not us individually, but collectively, hopefully the plan would include some of that.
So on July 12th, there's going to be beliefs the board of supervisors are going to come out with some of their findings as well. They're going to be pretty significant. I am part of the IMDT team for the county, so a little insight, but not nearly what's going to come out. And I do know there are a lot of things in the work. I think can't sit here and say there's like flush funding, but I know there's funding coming in for different levels, depending on what's needed. But the safe parking is exactly one of the big ones that was discussed. The things that you probably learned at George's Highway up in the river. So in the county, we got to think broad. There's some tiny home purchases that have gone on. A lot of these aren't just county, they're from other entities that come forward as well. And the goal of the county, I think, is moving forward, so this will come out hopefully as well, is the efforts of going forward to try to do exactly what you guys are doing. Keep everybody in the county on the same page and working with this. Because when we started this, it seemed like everybody was slightly slender. Everybody's goals were good and we're trying to do the right thing. But instead of going in one direction, we can maybe develop something that the county as a whole moves forward on. Good. So I think on the 12th, a lot of information will come out. So be a good time to tune in, I think, just to see where the county's perspective is. And this seems very positive.
When is the next meeting scheduled? That this should be noted?
July. It'll be the 12th.
Oh,
Actually, it'll be almost concurrent to the board meeting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the meeting we watched the board meeting.
Well, maybe we put it on that agenda just to have it on in case.
That's the-
for us. Yeah.
that would be helpful.
I don't think I would word that we're planning to do something. I would say a status update on county.
Would it be helpful if we said something through James Gore's office, kind of encouraging something that we, the needs in the way of they auto
Safe parking.
safe parking type things and,
Yeah, I know from the county perspective, that has been discussed, but I don't know if you mean just for the city.
I'm just saying that, as a part of this group, that we discussed it and we really encourage that there is a need and would like to, for the county to, work out the specifics and try to put something in place for the North County.
I just personal belief, I worry about that because if we ask James Gore, tell him that we're looking for this, then he's going to say, then here's what. And then we're gonna be stuck. That's my fear.
I don't share the same fear.
Okay, that's fine, and that's good. That's
I
fine.
think it wouldn't be just to him, it'd be through his office, but it would be to the board. So it's just requesting. It needs to be countywide, as we talked about. I mean, homeless knows no boundaries. I mean, they may be in the city, we have a program, they walk over the line out in the county. So it's a countywide effort. It's not by jurisdiction.
No.
But I just think any support, when they get support letters, it helps kind of move the conversations.
We put that on that agenda item, or should, is it something that we should do with the council for that support letter? Because that would happen before 12. So.
Hey, Mayor Lance.
Oh, yes, Margaret.
I was just gonna jump in because I think that your dialogue has been really good. And I would just say two things from my perspective. One, because I'm sorry, I don't know who the gentleman is, but mentioned, Rohnert Park and how that's not going well, but then the Sebastopol, safe parking. So two things. One, the Rohnert Park situation does not have any nonprofit running it. They just outsource Catholic Charities to come and check in on people, but there's not a program. Like it's just people and trash removal and that sort of thing. So I would say that if the conversation starts to become more intense about safe parking, it has to come with the proper funding. That's what the Rohnert Park problem is right now, is that there's not funding to partner with full on, Catholic Charities. It's theirs running it, in conjunction with the city or something like that. They don't have that level of support. So if the conversation continues, my big thing that I'm going to be pushing is where's the funding to make sure that someone is on site managing it holistically all the time so that it doesn't fall off the rails. And then the other thing is that I would encourage everyone to just go tour the Sebastopol location for their park and ride. It is really good. It's quiet. You can barely tell it's there. It's well run. There's a resident council. I think I froze. For a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Margaret.
I would just say to just go look at the Sebastopol Park and Ride. It's well run. There's a resident council. They have full on staff there. And it's really well run. Just so you have an idea of if it starts to push that way, like what that might look like. That's all.
Thank you, Margaret.
Margaret, I have a question for you if you're still there. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sebastopol, and it seems like the ones that tend to be more successful, they try to provide the wraparound services. And I think that might be, I don't know that Rohnert Park's doing that. Maybe that's where they find themselves falling a little bit short. But
Exactly.
Was Sebastopol doing wraparound services? Is that why it seems like it's being more successful?
They are. Yeah, it's I think there's on-site management. I believe it's St. Vincent de Paul, or I forget which group they contracted with. But oh no, it's Saves, I believe. But they've contracted with a nonprofit service provider such as Reach for Home or whatever, and they're there on site every day, and they set up a resident council, and that resident council then helps at night, and then they have nighttime security, which Rohnert Park doesn't have any security at all. They have Catholic Charities just comes during the day and contracts the street outreach piece, but there's not on-site wraparound services available like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or something. They don't have the funding for it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, is if, the board, as they look at this as a potential model, they need to look at the big picture with the proper funding to put the services, so it's acceptable.
Exactly. You're spot on. The services make a huge difference in the success.
Any other future agenda items?
So David, I'd like to just see that we put a letter, we could just have authorization, maybe a draft letter that we send in support of that, asking the board to fund it, but in retirement, to make sure it includes the proper services. I mean, I see them along county roads, there's mobile homes, so just parked on the side and people without cars, and it's, you gotta have a place to send them.
I think that's the goal of the county, is as they migrate forward, it's gonna be to have a.
So I think it's in everybody's best interest, but we want to make sure the right funding's in place and the right program. So I think we can get on board supporting the concept.
Anything else? Should we have anything about, like maybe bringing Chief Jenkins or Tuberville for fire updates or anything? Starting next month, maybe we can, or is that something we could can handle and update this one? Do you have an idea? I mean, you're all part of it, so.
What are you specifically looking for?
How many fires, what's going on, what they're seeing out there that we need to try to get a grasp on that might help you guys understand where they're, what they're seeing if you're not getting called out there for every fire. That type of thing, because like we have 86 in 2 years, but I doubt that police and sheriff were called to even 70 of those, or even 20 of those. So if they're seeing an uptick, if they're seeing a certain area, whatever it is, things that might help, I don't know.
I'm of the mindset, the more the better, just because you get different lines floating around, and lots of times you provide statistics to certain locations. So I think it's beneficial.
Mayor, we can certainly reach out to Chief Jenkins and Chief Tuberville and see if we can get a, report or a memo or just an update on their responses to local incidents and how many of those maybe fit in the category of homelessness.
Yeah, I think that's excellent.
They can also update us on the cider property in Hillsburg, because I know they're working that with you guys, and the vegetation management will be helping me with. So, what's that?
From my perspective, here at 5 fires within a quarter mile perimeter, that's important.
Right,
Do this a lot more.
Or 9 in 1 day type of thing.
We just don't have those stats.
Right. Jason does, and he throws them out there pretty quick. Not
different
Jason Jenkins, he will tell you every stat, because he pays attention to that big time. So. All right, well, being no other questions or comments or future agenda items, we'll adjourn the meeting. Next meeting is July 12th. And is it 1:30 again, or is it 5:30, 5 o'clock?
If we want to continue the alternate, then we'll be at 5
o'clock. Yeah. So July 12th at 5 o'clock for the next meeting.
So I'm just curious why we rotate the times, and I'd like to see it.
So it's because the community couldn't do it, so it was one or the other.
It'd be interesting to see how many cases are.
I think you made a comment about that last time when we went to 5.
We have more people 1:30. More people 1:30 than there are 5. Yeah.
I just, even if there's a lot of stats and that's.